Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Brennan, and I'm here to bring you your general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with our main episode, and every Wednesday, Danny and I are bringing you our little mini-series in the spotlight. But that's enough about us. Nobody cares about us. That's not what we're here for right now. Folks, today, I am here with the one and only, you may know her from, like, Broadway or something, I don't know, but I'm here with L. Morgan Lee. L. Morgan, what the heck is going on? How you doing?
What the heck is going on?
What the heck is going on?
Our whole world has changed.
Topical.
It's the perfect day for us to talk. Also, that intro is so much swag. Look at you.
Oh my God, listen, we're here for theater, girl. Hello. L. Morgan, who the heck are you and what do you do?
Oh, God.
Yeah. I ask the hard-hitting questions here.
Who am I? I am... I could go in this, like, really ridiculous, like, cerebral...
Do it.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I am a friend.
A star.
No, yeah, it's... I'm an actress in New York City and with also Sideways LA Dreams, who has worked on Broadway, who directs a bit, and who has an affinity for helping the next generation to be more ready than I was.
Hell yes. I love that. Second question is usually, how do we know each other?
Oh, our friend.
Friend of the pod, Chris, shout out. We'll get him in here soon too. We've been in talks. And Morgan, did you go to school for theater?
I did. I have a BFA in musical theater.
Oh, wow.
From the University of the Arts, RIP.
Oh,
school
no.
literally is now gone.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting 2024 for me. My alma mater is gone. You know, next year, there's going to be another president. I just have so much happening in 2024.
Yeah, really keeping us on our toes,
It's a good thing that I will say, I mean, look, full transparency. I'm grateful for this past administration.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say it out loud because somebody said they might be trying to take these back, but my student loans were canceled. So so that was a really wonderful thing for 2024 that I'm slightly afraid about for 2025 if they try to go back in and do something, because at this point I'm like, well, I mean, it is what it is.
We still got a couple months. They could maybe set some things in stone.
I see 0 on the website.
Yeah.
And I will not accept anything else at this point.
Absolutely. Listen, if they tell me I don't have to pay, out of sight, out of mind, no thank you.
Yeah. No, but I have a BFA in musical theater.
Amazing. Are you from that area? Are you from?
I'm from Maryland.
Okay, understood.
Originally.
Heard.
And yeah, went to college in Philadelphia and moved here right afterwards.
Understood.
A very ridiculous journey in that, like, I went to Philadelphia because, also, let's count how many times I say like in this conversation.
Oh, listen, this is an exercise of hearing all of my isms. It's terrible.
But I grew up in Maryland, went to school in Philadelphia, the only school I applied for because I knew people that went to that school.
Understood.
And I did not do my due diligence of, like, trying to see what were the other programs that might have been really lovely to audition for, to try out for. And even with University of the Arts, I was really doing the most. I didn't come in as a musical theater major because the audition process was, like, too much. I did not see the need to travel to Philadelphia to do monologues and songs and dance. So I was like, look, I will audition for the voice program from home.
Yeah.
I will make a videotape back when we had camcorders.
Crazy.
I will make a videotape. I will sing a few songs and then I will send it and then we'll see.
Yeah.
And so thankfully I got into the classical voice program and then I switched as soon as I got there.
That's honestly brilliant.
Yeah. I plotted my way through. I was like, I want to be a musical theater major, but I'll start as a voice major.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that one of my electives is a teacher in the theater program.
Awesome.
And that teacher actually, while we were there, she was like, your eyes are so, I can tell stories just behind your eyes. You know what? I think you should switch programs. I think you should come to the musical theater program. And I was like, I think that would be great.
What a great idea.
I think that's awesome.
Brilliant.
I would love to do that. And she ended up being my voice teacher in the musical theater program.
I love that. Was arts always like a part of your life growing up?
Always.
Okay.
Always. I went to an arts high school, a classical voice major I went through. So yeah, I've always been there.
And did it start with music? Did it start with singing, or was theater in the mix?
Well, theater was always a part of the mix, even in the singing, because like even when I was a music major or a voice major in high school, I was in the show choir. So I mean, it was always musical. Broadway was always the aspiration.
Of course.
Broadway was always the dream.
Yeah.
And even from like first, second grade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, even from nursery school. Yeah, it was meant.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was meant. I was thrown into outfits in nursery school for talent shows.
We love that. I don't think we ever had a talent show in my whole entire young school life.
Period? Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
There's always like those moments that are sort of like goalposts for you in life. And there was my second grade talent show.
Oh, stakes are high.
That was the goalpost for me. It was outdoors. It was on a weekend. It was it's a whole thing with like the whole like student body, all the parents. It was like a big event. And I sang this song called Superwoman by Karen White.
Lovely.
Which was this, second grade is 8 years old?
Yeah.
Me singing about early in the morning, I put breakfast on your table. I make sure that your coffee has its sugar and cream. Your eggs are over easy, toasted lightly.
Wow.
All that's missing is your morning kiss that used to greet me.
So wise.
An 8-year-old.
Wise beyond your years,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. This woman living into the expectations of womanhood.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole song was, I'm not your superwoman. I'm not the kind of girl that you can, let go and think that everything's okay. Boy, I'm only human.
Wow.
And just my mom and everybody just going, yes, sing it, baby.
They said, that kid gets it. That kid gets it. I feel so seen.
Just crazy.
Oh, iconic. And did you pack up and head to the Big Bad Apple right after graduation?
Oh, like almost right away.
Amazing.
Yeah. Graduated. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up in New York City with a smile on my face and like $50 in my bank account.
Oh, ain't that how it goes?
Like nothing.
Yeah.
Like this, I love listening to people talk about, before you move to New York City, you want to make sure that you've got money saved.
Yeah.
You've got your job placement already there. I was like, y'all, I got here. I had no idea what was going to happen. I was sharing an apartment with some people I went to college with up in the Bronx. And where we were in the Bronx, the fact that it was the Bronx at all for my like suburban growing up self and my like mom, my mom dropped me off and like, as we like loaded all my things into the apartment, she goes, should we put things back in the car? Do you want to turn around?
Oh my God.
I was like, no, I don't want to turn around. I'm here. And she was like, I don't know. Like, and I went, Mom, look, like I'm home. I'm a little afraid of the neighborhood, but I'm home.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. I love the like suburban kids living in the city situation because all of the stuff that you've put in your head or that people have put in your head about places like New York City start seeming so ridiculous.
Truly.
So ridiculous. Yeah. I was so safe. It was such a, like, it was a cute neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, in my rent, oh my God, when I started, I think my rent was like $350.
That's
for the apartment
that couldn't possibly,
for the room.
That couldn't be true.
It was a living room situation that had doors.
Insane.
It was a great setup. I was there for 2 months.
Okay.
And then I got a tour and was out.
Oh, so casual.
Like right away.
Wow. What tour was it?
It was a TheaterWorks tour.
Oh my God.
Of a show called The Mystery of King Tut.
Wow.
Where I played King Tut.
No, how mysterious. Wow.
Oh, the true mystery was no one knew what was going on in the mind of this child playing King Tut.
Love that.
Yeah, it was a cute first job.
Yeah. So now you were nominated for a Tony Award. Like, was that kind of cool for you?
No, it was really the pits.
Yeah.
I want to just give it all back.
That must have been a lot. That must have been a lot to deal with. Oh, wow.
No, I loved it. It took me a long time to actually believe it fully. There was a lot of processing. I feel like I missed a lot of the beginning of that ride.
Heard.
Because I was sort of knocked over by the size of it all. Mm-hmm. I was still trying to, at that point, fully settle into the fact that I was finally in a Broadway show.
Yeah.
And really just starting to get the like ability to own the space and be really excited about being there and just letting everything go. In particular, in my like sort of more feature moments in the show.
For sure.
Early on, there were some moments where I remember right before walking out for Sympathetic Ear thinking like, this is for you. This is for the kid. This is for the one that used to dream about being on Broadway. Like, let all of this go. Like, let everything go. Anything. And I mean, like, quite frankly, things that, like, a creative team has said, things that, like, everybody around you has said that you're supposed to be doing. And forget all of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're on Broadway. You are getting to stand on zero and have that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And as simple as that moment might be, or as big as that moment might be, just allowing yourself to really own it.
Yeah.
And like live in it. So I was still kind of fully getting the grasp of that.
Yeah.
And then nominations happened and I got sick. Like right after nominations, I got like a really bad sinus infection. But then like trying to experience all of that ride as it's sort of being thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I not missed a lot of, but I feel like I didn't really get a chance to like settle into it.
For sure.
So like now I have that like rich people problem of like, I really hope that I get a chance to have that ride again at some point because I know like another chance at that ride. I mean, and it's so like foofy, like people will judge me for saying that and like it is what it is.
For sure.
But like I think another chance at that ride, it doesn't even matter if you win or not.
Yeah.
To me, it's just I would really then get a chance to just like ride
100%.
the coast because that's something I noticed from the girls who had already been through the thing, and they were so lovely. Jen Samard is such a beautiful spirit. It was Shoshana's first time, but Shoshana was like so lovely. She like sent us all like flowers.
Aww.
It's like some of the people, Jeanette Viardell, it was her first time too, but Jeanette is someone who early on in New York City, I coached Jeanette.
No way.
And so like Jeanette would come to me when she got like auditions or like callbacks for things.
Yeah.
And we'd coach the day before she went in for the callback.
Mm-hmm.
And like she kept booking. And so she was like, we're going to keep this going because I don't know if it's luck or what it is, but each time I come to you, I go there the next day and I book. And so to get to share that with her was also just like really special.
Yeah.
But I could tell with like the ladies, like, you know, Joaquina and like these people who had done the ride before, LaShawns.
Yeah.
It's like lovely seeing how prepared they were for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew already that like this event is this event is this. Instead of me, who was running around the city like a crazy lady, like while doing the show, thinking, oh God, now I have to figure out what I'm going to wear to this thing and what am I going to wear to this thing. So like Macy's got to know me really well during that season.
Amazing.
I was always at Macy's like trying to figure out, can I get like, will this work? I know they're all doing the rich people version of this. I'm not there yet because we ain't making that kind of money on Strange Loop. But I was like, here we are. I am trying to figure this out at Macy's and living my life. Can I get a sponsorship?
Amazing.
But yeah, I felt like it was all a bit of a whirlwind.
Understood.
And I afterwards got to settle into it.
Yeah.
The Tonys themselves was a moment where I kind of got to take it in.
Good.
And it was actually like sitting in the theater. So like even the red and our Tonys, it was like the like lavender tinted carpet.
Oh.
The carpet outside, like even that was so overwhelming. I was like almost in tears in like almost every interview. Yeah. I didn't know what to say, but I was like, I can't say something stupid because, oh God, like, and I think there was a pressure on me through that process of like feeling the necessity to represent groups of people that had not been in this space.
For sure.
That there's a part of me now that it's like if and when, because I'm a creature of manifestation, when that kind of thing happens again, I don't feel that same pressure.
Yeah, for
sure. My
sure.
pressure is, I don't feel the pressure to try to represent a whole group of people because I could never represent. All I can really do is keep walking forward and hope and trust that the people who need to see that or who need that inspiration or whatever that is, those people that were me sitting at home watching those things, I think that then they will be inspired or feel what they need to feel just from your walk.
For sure.
Rather than me sort of feeling like it was a bag on my chest that I had to get right because it was so important.
Yeah.
And it was really important. And it is important to me.
Yeah.
But I think getting to do those kinds of things again or more help me to kind of actually get to take it and experience it for myself in ways that I don't really feel like I fully did.
Totally. Did it feel like imposter syndrome at all? Like, was that a part of it?
A little. I mean, like, I think by the time we got to Tonys, I just felt like Cinderella.
That's a great place to be.
I say that Tony Awards was like my coming out ball. It was like I felt like I was being introduced to the industry, and in some ways I was
for sure.
It's really weird, however, being introduced after you've been in the business for 20 years.
Yeah,
for over 20 years at that point.
Did it like when the debut came around? Did it feel like the time? Did it feel right?
It was time.
Okay, heard.
Yeah, I said to someone while we were in tech for the show. Usually when I'm in shows, I feel really nervous.
Yeah.
Like throughout the whole process, quite frankly, I get really uncomfortable and I feel like all kinds of stage frighty kinds of things. For some reason, in this show, when we got to the Lyceum, I felt more at home on stage than I'd ever felt. It felt like home. Like it did not, it felt like it was very much like, I'm coming out of makeup. I was like coming I was back to this place where I was born. Like it felt very like I'm finally meeting this spirit that I had dreamed of, but that I'm now ready for.
Yeah.
And so it felt like the next step that made sense.
For sure.
And I said, I was like, I feel like I'm at home. And someone on the creative team, Raja, actually said, I think he said at some point, he was like, the theater is meeting you.
Yeah.
Finally, the stage is finally meeting you. And he was like, I can tell.
For sure.
He was like, you feel really at home. And I was like, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, as much as I want to do TV and film. That's kind of the like dream, has always been the dream for me. But the stage definitely feels like there's an electric sort of situation that.
So it's different.
It's just different.
For sure.
And it's something that like, I think you do have to be built for.
Yes, 100%.
And I feel like I was built for that. Like I was like all of the little kid doing too much in front of the family constantly growing up. Like that child was unknowingly laying blocks to get to somewhere like Broadway.
Totally. And were you with Stranger Loop prior to Broadway?
The whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole time. There were people there before me, but like I think that I was there at least from like the very first reading of what was solidly a Strange Loop.
Wow. Okay.
So I was there at that point, 2022. I was there. I think it had been like 8 years that I'd been attached at that point.
What does that journey look like when you're bringing something from like the seeds of itself?
It looks like lots of question marks.
Heard.
Development is a very, very tricky and beautiful world because you are in the material.
Gotcha.
Like your spirit is in the material because you've been sitting with it so long. And if you've been fortunate enough to be like the only one who's done your track all the way through, your spirit is all laced inside of that thing.
For sure.
Even when you look at it on the page, it's interesting because it's like there's a part of you inside of it. I think that we had a lot of, the pandemic happened before Broadway.
Yeah.
And like the global reckoning happened before Broadway.
Yeah.
And so the thing about shows like A Strange Loop is that I believe that the way that the stories are told should also be ever evolving.
Oh, for sure.
And like I do think that Michael, the writer, had the intention of sort of, as he evolves, the piece also does. So there were like little shifts and things throughout the way.
Yeah.
But I think that once we got to Broadway, there was another layer of urgency that gets added to the mix that, the things that are there, I will say the show is never finished.
Oh, 100%.
Now, look, they could say it's done. I don't think it was done.
Heard.
But like, I think there are things that like still could have been workshopped and played with. And I also think that there are things in the show. I think that production was complete.
Understood.
And that's the thing I think that's beautiful about new material in particular, especially if you've had a chance to take a ride. The thing is, I also direct. So so my brain is always going.
Oh, 100%.
Especially in that show because there are so many possibilities in the show. And I think that there were ways that the show could have been expanded more from the inside. And like there were things that are inside the show that I don't think that this production had.
Yeah.
And I think it's really just because of the people that were leading this production and the group of actors that they chose. And like this production, I think, was as complete as it could be.
Understood.
I think there's a production in my mind of the show that I would love to work on.
Yeah.
And, the process of the show was very layered, very full. I learned through the development of A Strange Loop that things can hold multitudes.
Yeah.
That that a show or a project or life or anything can be both extremely rewarding and life-changing and beautiful and also deeply painful and terribly dangerous and, could be really harmful. Like, 100%. I think that those things can all actually live in the same space. It's just, where are you choosing to focus the light?
Totally.
And so I know that Broadway's hard and there is some healing for me still to do that I won't be able to do until I can direct the show.
Understood.
When I can direct a production of A Strange Loop, I will be able to finally like put the breath and put the thing to sleep.
Heard.
Because there is a version of the show in my head that I think I really wanted to see that I couldn't have seen with this production because I wasn't the one, I wasn't my brain running it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not to say anything about the team that built it.
Oh, totally.
It's just my brain functions differently. My queer lens is different than the queer lenses that were running the thing.
Of course.
I think that the constant that would be in the show is that Usher is a Black gay man.
Yep.
I think that is, to me, maybe the only constant.
For sure.
I think that there are some ways of using the thoughts and the ways of using the piece to more fully encompass what a queer musical can look like.
Heard.
What an actually fully inclusive queer Black musical can look like. I think that range of thought was not in the room.
Understood.
And we are always evolving with that. You know,
Sure.
I was the only member of the cast going into the Broadway process. I was the only member of the cast that was at all trans or like, you know, so I think that and even for me, my journey through the show, I transitioned like through the development of the show.
Yeah.
So like my relationship with the show is like very singular.
And did you feel that being, like you said earlier, and like, did you see your gender journey being reflected through the text as it kind of evolved and changed throughout the process?
I think it shifted for me more than it shifted for maybe the outside. Well, the outside, I certainly, because, you know, I started the first reading one way and sort of by Broadway, it was definitely a very different human. But I do think that like, I always play the track that I play. So like that didn't change.
Heard.
There were little feature things that shifted throughout that I got taken away or that I didn't have anymore. But for the most part, one of the things I liked about it early on is that I could hide inside of it.
Okay.
Because I sing like this kind of music this way and I do these kinds of things, but like I'm constantly having to explain myself in rooms. People just don't quite know what to do with me.
Yep.
You know, if I come into a room and I sing, you know, if I sing Simple Little Things in this room, they are like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Whereas today, if I sing that, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Suddenly it makes sense.
Of course.
But going into the project, it did not.
Yeah.
And so people were constantly sort of, I think, baffled with, what do we do with you?
Understood.
How do we, because you don't really fit the thing that we're trying to make you fit.
Yeah.
But the thing that you can sing, the role that you're capable of singing in this show, we are not going to buy you getting to do.
Understood.
And so I had taken a step back from everything, actually.
For sure.
And that's when I was working in a temp job situation, using my BFA for the things that it's good for, which was working as an executive assistant in finance. Because, look, I was making a great salary. I had vacation. I had days. I had paid time off. I had, you know, health insurance. I had all the things that, like, you know, you want to have for stability. That BFA came in handy. And, you know, doing that first workshop sort of made me go, you know what? This show is different. It's blunt. It's saying all kinds of things that people don't actually say out loud in public, and certainly not in musicals.
Yeah.
That sort of drew me to it because I was like, well, you know what? I mean, why not just say what you think? Why not be that? I thought that Michael's bluntness was very, it pulled me in because it was true. It was like, it was authenticity. It was true. It was, this is who this human is, which is one of those reasons why with A Strange Loop, when people are like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, it's telling us the Black queer story. And I said, no. It's telling you Michael's lens of a Black queer story, a singular Black queer. This is Usher's Black queer story, which is not, you know, the same as everybody else.
Of
and
course.
there is nuance to who that human is, who Usher is. There's a lot of nuance there. But yeah, so doing the show, it was certainly a growing experience. I love development. I tend to end up in developmental spaces, which I like. I enjoy doing new work.
For sure. Now that it's hit the regional circuit, is the directing on the horizon? Do you feel like that is in the near future?
I'd like there to be. I'm not going to hold out forever now. I mean, there will be a moment when I'm like, I'm over it. There will be a moment. I still have some like thoughts that I'm like, oh, I'd love to see this worked out.
Yeah.
But like for that to work for me, like I need to be there I need to be there to cast the show.
Understood.
I need to be there for the whole process because there's some specificity to certain things that I'd love to see. that I would really sort of mine a bit more in the show.
Do you feel like you have your own specific kind of, like, do you have like the L. Morgan process for directing? Like, do you feel like you have your own kind of, your brand of that?
I'm a bad student.
Oh, listen, there's no rules.
I mean, this is as an actor too. There are people who are so lovely. They have their little notebook and they have all their like ways. I memorize my lines this way and I do this and I have this and I have this set up. And when we discuss the character, I have a whole, just a whole spiel and they've written a term paper on who the character. I'm very much just like, I'm feeling my way through.
I'm kind of the same way. Were you an academic growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was extreme. That's the thing is I was extremely an academic.
Interesting.
But the thing is, for me, art was never about. For me, art was my escape from that.
Yeah.
Me working on projects was always my escape from that side of my brain.
For sure.
So when I'm sitting listening to an actor give me a whole dissertation on what the character does, I'm like, fuck that. I don't care. Like just show me.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to you talk about who this person is for 20 minutes. Just show me. Let me feel it in the scene.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, realty is I rarely feel it in the scene when they've done that dissertation.
Ain't that the truth?
I'm like, you've really dissected this thing beautifully on page. This is really lovely. But I'm not feeling all that nuance when I'm right across from you in the scene.
Truly.
And so I want to.
Yeah.
So maybe put the book down.
Just do it. Just do it.
Maybe actually just bring that into what you're doing. Yeah, I'm such a bad student. I don't do it that way. I just finished working on an audio play situation.
Oh, interesting.
It was a monologue, but it's for a series called the Drama Series.
Oh, fun.
That will be coming out soon. They're all horror sort of plays.
Oh.
So this piece it was fun. It was fun.
Interesting.
But even in that piece, like the director at one point, he was like, so what are we thinking? Are there things you want to hit? And I'm like, let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. And was like, he was like, do you want to talk about anything? I was like, no, I just want to jump in.
Yeah.
And let's find it.
There we go.
I am very much about finding the thing.
Yeah.
Allowing the thing to come to me as opposed to me like telling it what it's supposed to be.
Truly.
I want to find it. And so and on the directing side, if I'm building a cast, I'm looking for actors who have POV.
Yeah.
And who are capable of dissecting the thing along with me. But who understand that I'm driving the car.
Totally.
So it's like there needs to be an understanding that, yes, at some point, I will certainly be like, what are we thinking? Like, how do you feel? But I tend to have specific questions about it.
Heard.
Things that I don't love when actors are in rooms that they just got the script a day before and then they're saying things like, well, my character would. Well, what do you mean your character? You just got here today.
You just got here.
You got the scripts last night. You don't know your character yet. Like, give your character a chance to introduce themselves. When you're arguing, I've been at a table where an actor had done previous versions of the show and said, I've had the privilege of being here for multiple versions of rewrites, and I actually prefer the last rewrites where my character, and I'm sitting here thinking, I cannot believe you have the gall.
I'd like
to
what?
Tell the writer what you think that this person that writer has been living with in their mind could be for 10, 20 years for all we know. And you're going to tell them who this person is?
Yeah.
Like, if asked my opinion, if asked what are my thoughts, I'm never going to be like, this is what it is. I'm going to go, well, I mean, I feel like there are different options.
Yeah.
There's a lane where she's like this. There's a lane where she does this. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out who she is and where she fits in. I am very much a feeler through everything. Yeah. I think there are people who finish shows and they have like big full notebooks full of everything.
Yeah.
I'm not that girl.
I'm the same. I'm exactly
my script
with you.
Sometimes my script is just empty.
What?
And people are like, you don't have any notes.
like, I knew my lines.
I knew my lines and I took the notes. I will take a note.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I will not always write it down in a place that you think I should.
For sure.
I'll find notes on the backs of things, on envelopes. Like I'm not organized that way.
No.
I think assistants help me a lot. The idea of having assistants is always key for me.
Heard.
I always need someone to sort of rein me in.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Some people really just need to live by the textbook and live by the technique that they were taught. But like, I always hated that. And I don't know if it's because I had a lot of professors that stated that it was the correct way to do things and you need to know this in order to succeed and yada, yada, yada. But quite frankly, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I also think that I've never felt like the things that everybody deems as this is the way.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I was ever considered in that.
No.
People like me were never considered.
For sure.
And so I think that there's always an element of being slightly on the outside of that. That feels like you don't know how I process.
Exactly.
Because no one like me has been in that room.
Fair.
And because I feel that way.
Yeah.
I know that so many others feel that way about whatever intersections they bring into the room. I'm sure they also feel somewhat unseen or under-researched is a word I love saying, because this marginalized word I don't love.
Understood.
I loved under-researched because people are there. You just need to look for them.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where I feel like I was not really considered.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who, I know some people who are die hard academics about things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like, I think if that works for you, amazing.
Yeah.
Go for it. Use that and dig in, but don't tell me what's supposed to work for me.
Yeah. I mean, it also just feels like it kind of takes the human experience out of it. You know, the more you put on paper, the more statistical, robotic that you get about it. I'm like, you don't even sound like a human being talking to me right now.
And I will say that's the craft.
Yeah.
That is definitely the craft. If you are someone who is, I'm extremely analytical,
mm-hmm.
but not academic with art. So so I will dig all the way inside to the nth degree on who she is.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to necessarily talk to you about it.
Totally.
I want to work on it. I want to find it and figure out for myself what it is. And maybe it's the only child, sort of slightly introverted part of me. But I don't feel like I need to share all of my inner thoughts with you because I wouldn't in real life.
For sure.
And if I'm playing someone, I respect her privacy.
Yeah.
I don't think that she would divulge all of the inner workings of why she's doing. Because there are some directors who are like, what are we doing here? Let's talk about it. And I'm like, I don't really want to share all that with you.
Yeah.
Just let me know how I'm telling if my storytelling is clear, if the scene is getting where you want it to get, let's make sure that that's the case. But I don't always want to share with you what I'm thinking because quite frankly, it might not be, it might seem real crazy.
Yeah.
It might be like she had some Fruit Loops this morning and she's feeling a little queasy. So that's why she's a little upset when she gets into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that might be what helps me get into the scene.
Great.
But that will have nothing to do with this play. You know, if I'm doing Pinter, that has nothing to do.
You got enough to deal with.
There were no Fruit Loops.
Don't need.
What are you doing?
You don't need to know what's going on.
You don't need to know my crazy.
No.
Let me have my own crazy.
Truly.
Because I also function that way in real life. So I'm like, I'm never going to tell people what is actually in my mind half the time. Mm-hmm. Because you don't need to know it. You just need to know, am I fun? Am I free? Am I friendly? Am I being polite? That's all that matters. You don't need to know my crazy.
And how refreshing to hear that nowadays.
Yeah.
What a, I mean, speaking of which, this lovely little world that we're now being thrust into, I don't even, we experienced this already, but I'm still kind of what are we gonna do? You know?
Yeah, I think we are. It's interesting because I think that it's Groundhog's Day. And but there's a reason that it's Groundhog's Day. We didn't learn what we were supposed to learn the last time.
No.
And I feel like yesterday I was just sort of curled up in a ball on my couch for most of the day, just feeling kind of disappointed is the word that comes to mind, but it's not full enough.
Yes.
Because I wasn't surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a weird tone of gray.
Totally. It's, unfortunately, I'm like, it makes sense, but also it doesn't. Why doesn't make sense?
Why does it make sense?
Truly.
In what? My frustration really was, it should never, we kept saying along the way, it's going to be a really close election.
It really felt like that.
And I was like, why is it going to be close? Why?
Yeah.
In what world should this be close? When we put these two humans on paper, in what world should it be close? It should never be close.
No.
In what world should one of these humans even be in consideration at all?
Truly.
But here we are. And so it's this idea for me that And I'm a little loopy-doopy.
For
I'm
sure.
certainly loopy-doopy. So, like, my mind is very, like, I believe certainly in manifestation. I believe in law of attraction.
Yes.
I believe that the universe always has your back.
Mm-hmm.
And we can tell the universe the world that we want to live in.
Yes.
We can't tell the universe how to get us there.
Heard.
So I do believe that this is a step towards the world that we want to live in.
Yeah.
And it's weird and we don't understand it. And it feels really icky and not okay. And people are really afraid and hurt. And
yeah.
But all of this because I'm loopy, all of this is moving towards the world that we want to live in. There's a lot of people in this world that we live in.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be a little difficult to get to that other side.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it takes or what the world needs for us to actually reach that thing that we want so desperately. Like we have no idea. And so I want to believe that this craziness that we're going to have to like really buckle down and be community as much as possible for is part of that ride.
I think it's so tough too, because like the instinct that I'm always told is that like we have to lead with love and we have to do this, and it's like I don't
want to hear that language anymore.
We've been trying that for what 12 years now.
Well, but have we? That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like, have we? I think that like there have been people that have absolutely adopted that idea, but I think there's been a lot of people performing it.
Heard.
There's been a lot of people who are performing it in front of people and then behind closed doors are their normal selves.
Understood.
And so we're not going to get anywhere until folks actually look in the mirror. And that's all of us.
Yeah.
It's not, I think that's the thing that's so missing is that we get to this kind of a space where people start playing the blame game and like real tea, it's like people who were toting, Kamala, many of those people also are part of the problem in the ways that they're doing it. Like judging each other is actually not going to get us anywhere. Like those people who voted for him, I don't understand any bit of your craziness of why. I mean, and here I am saying craziness, so clearly I'm judging too.
Hey.
But like, I don't understand you.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's always like, I want to understand you so that at least I can know where you're coming from. I don't have to agree with any of it.
Truly.
But I want you to acknowledge my opinion and my life and my existence and my feelings. I want to give you the same grace.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in order for us to get there, like, we have to be willing to give our enemies and the people who are against us acknowledgement that they exist.
Understood.
Like, we are all human. We're all sharing this space together. And like, those people aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And like sideways, what I love is this morning, there's been a lot more conversation about there also wasn't the turnout that we thought there was going to be.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Truly.
Because the stakes felt so much higher than ever.
Yeah.
And it's like there was it was like 15 million people or something that like she didn't have that Biden had that turned out. And it's like, what is this about? And I think a lot of it is also there's huge populations of people who did not vote for various reasons. And like, why didn't they vote?
I think something that someone pointed out to me yesterday was very interesting, that like my first time voting in an election was
last year.
Was 2016.
Right.
Like that.
Oh, that was your first one?
That was my first election ever. So I kind of was the elections in general. Now I have this perception of like truly, it's like the stakes are so high because the world can flip fucking upside down. But like that wasn't it for everyone. People were out there voting for George W. Bush and stuff. And like, it wasn't always like this. So like, it still isn't like that to them. So I guess in that lens, it makes sense. But like, it's like, crazy.
I just also keep thinking about the people who, God, this conversation could get so deep. I feel like I keep thinking about the people who felt like they genuinely could not vote for either person, whose lives and experiences put them in a position where they genuinely just did not feel okay putting either of those names in a circle. And like, I don't personally feel that. Look, there could have been an option that was more aligned with all the ways that I believe. I didn't get that option in the mix, but to me, there was no question that she had my vote.
For sure.
Like, not even a second thought. And I'm someone who was not very vocal the whole season about everything because I don't necessarily. I also was just raised in a time period where I don't really we didn't tell all our business on social media. We didn't just walk down the street telling everybody how we feel. And almost the expectation to do that now is actually a little bit of a turnoff to me in some ways.
Yeah.
That people are judged for not sharing their innermost feelings on social media. That to me is a little like, you all don't understand that you also don't live alone.
Yeah.
I think that's a big issue for us in the world right now, is that how you live, how you function, the things that you need are yours.
Yeah.
The person next to you has a whole nother list on how they function. And like, y'all don't have to agree.
No.
You don't have to have the same opinion. You don't have to like each other, but you both are here. And so like, you both deserve to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of what you should be doing. And y'all who don't do this, this is exactly why. And, you know, I can't stand these people who, and it's like, you know what? You're the one holding on to all this nasty energy right now.
Yeah.
That person's living their life. That person is living their life. You are the angry one posting on social media about them while they're living. Why don't you go live?
Yeah.
Do what makes you feel that freedom. Do the things that... Why do you feel the need to be tethered to your telephone telling everybody every single thought that comes to your mind?
Yeah.
Now, look, if that's your space if that's your outlet, amazing.
Oh, for sure.
Live your life. But like, don't judge me if I don't spout out all of my personal opinions and beliefs all over my social media. Because that's not what, for me, that's actually not what my social media is for.
Totally.
But for me, there was no question,
of course,
that she was my vote. But I did find myself constantly, and this happened, this happens every election year. It happened the same with Hillary for me, where I was like, people are getting attacked for not wanting to vote for this person.
Yeah.
Why are we not asking, why don't you want to vote for this person? What are the reasons that you have that you feel that this person does not connect with you?
Yeah.
And then being really demanding of the people who are running the election. When I was in middle school and I ran for, student government, I won because
I handed out Jolly Ranchers to everyone and they loved it.
I did give candy to people.
Me too. Me too, girl.
But I won.
Exactly. But I'm like, it worked.
But it's like, but even inside of that, you were directly engaging with the people that were voting for you.
Yeah.
And so I think that, look, candidates, there's no way for them to directly engage with every American. There's like literally no way. However, I do find myself each time thinking the thing that separates you, the people that you are. So when you're running these campaigns, there's always a group of people who are just adamantly like, I'm not into you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times these elections don't spend a lot of time on those people. And to me, it's an election. Yeah. That's your job.
Yeah.
That's a part of your job, is to get the people that are not interested in you. And like, and to find out why they're not, and to like acknowledge why they're not.
Yeah.
To be like, I think with the world, there's so many other I can't even begin to understand the like stress and craziness that politicians of our like country have to deal with. But that is a question that I often have, is just, why is your team not more actively engaging the people who don't want to vote for you? Because I'm like, girl, you got my vote. If you send me another text message, I'm gonna go off in this place.
Truly.
I can't put stop any more times.
Yeah.
Please leave me alone.
Oh my God.
Leave me alone.
Too real.
I don't have $5 more for you. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So I do think that like, I want to see them engage more with folks, and like, it feels weird to put it this way, but like, earn the vote.
Yeah.
Like, win the election. Crazy got up there and was just never speaking facts. Lying, like rambling. I mean, just any and everything that you would think is just like literally crazy.
And I wish we lived in a world where I could be like, that's fucking funny. Like, that's comedy. But we don't.
But that's our president.
Because objectively, hysterical. Really funny.
Like, it's like, I feel the same. I'm like, on some way, in the dark humor side of myself, this is a shit show. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
We have someone
I'm like,
who is literally awaiting sentencing and running to lead our country in a country where there's always a question, have you been convicted?
Like, that's stand-up right there. That's stand-up, and it's a good set. It's a good set, But unfortunately, it had very big repercussions. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's also just, I mean, this sounds so icky to say, I hate this, but like we as artists are empaths. Like it is a part of us to try and get into those minds and understand. But like for some reason with this kind of situation, it feels so hard. It feels
icky.
so hard in a way.
It's icky.
It feels like it shouldn't feel that hard too, you know?
Well, I did a workshop of a musical that there was a character. I so desperately want to play one of these characters, but I'm Black, so I'm almost never going to get to unless someone just plays with the race.
Yeah.
I really want to play some really disgusting human who is like racist and homophobic and sexist, just nasty, nasty person. Just I think it would be so much fun. I just maybe there's healing inside of that. Maybe there's some sort of like psychiatrist would be like, girl, that's a problem. Just like, why do you want to play? Why do you want to play this? I just really would love to play these really problematic people because I also just think. So there was an actress in the piece who was playing someone who's like Southern and just very, very, just very homophobic, very racist, just nasty lady. Yeah. And like, she did it so well. And like, for me, I'm like, this is why I want to get to try and do this because I'm like, I feel like I could really lean into it because we know who these people are. True. And the thing is, like, because I said to her, I was like, you were doing this, like, it's scary how well you're dropping in. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who lives in the Deep South, who is around these women all the time, and who reminded me, these women this is just what they believe.
Yeah.
It's not, like, this is not, insert. I was like, oop, don't say that. Insert all these derogatory phrases.
Oh,
but it's like these ways of talking about people, these ways of what we would see as putting people down. This is just the reality of their world.
Yeah.
These people are beneath them. This is just who they are. And that is how the world works. We're looking for joy. We want to be happy. We want to live our lives and serve our God and be everything that we need to be. And these people who are, less than human are getting in the way. Mm-hmm. And we don't want them to get in the way because we just want to be able to have tea on Sunday.
Of course.
Like, to me, those people, like, it's the more she, like, really centered in, like, no, the thing is, we think of them as villains. Mm-hmm. And, like, the reality is they are the hero.
Yeah.
And if you believe that they are the hero, and it actually, that's why I was saying earlier, I was like, the world that we live in is a direct reflection of our business, clearly, because our job is to, show it.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
These people, they are heroes in their world. Mm-hmm. In their minds, in their existence, they are heroes. In our story, they might be villains, but in theirs, they're not. In their story, we're the villains. And so if we can flip our lens a little bit, it actually kind of does help you to understand where they're coming from. It seems real warped and real backwards and like a horror movie. Yeah. But to them, we are that.
Yeah.
To them, we are that. We are their horror movie. Mm-hmm. How dare you? How dare you live in this city of sin and tell other people what they should do? Mm-hmm. How dare you tell us that we are being stuffed-shirt and conservative? Mm-hmm. You are just riding your way to hell.
Truly.
And it's like, the reality is on our side, people are like, and loving everything.
And literally, we're like,
and they're like,
I hope there's mimosas.
They're like, we are not having any of that.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, and that's the suburbs too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
how New York City was sold to me as a little kid as being dangerous and horrifying and just, sin. And, I got here the first time and was like, oh,
yeah.
Home.
For sure. No, literally.
And it is.
Yeah.
I mean, by the definition of what those things are to those people, New York City is all those things.
Yeah. Like,
you're like,
the fresh smell of garbage in the morning.
Right.
My home.
But like, right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, I think that we need community.
Yes.
We are going to get through it. Mm-hmm. We will make it through it. Generations of people before us have made it through far worse.
That's very true.
We will get through it. I mean, right now, people don't want to hear that. I don't even want to hear it really.
Oh,
but
100%.
But I do believe this is just going to be an interesting ride. It's going to test us.
Yeah.
How much of the gloom and doom of that project will we actually see get put into place? Or how much will we actually see work? Is he intelligent enough to actually execute those things? You know what I mean? Like there's actually like the brass tacks of it is like, are you actually capable of doing all these things?
He's got those concepts of ideas, you know? What the fuck does that mean?
Which to me, again, and yet, the popular vote by far.
I'm
Why?
Like, honestly, that's, once again, that's so fucking funny.
Like mystery just really pulls everybody in.
Truly. Oh.
Do we really want to risk that? And like the misogyny of it all.
Yes.
Like the misogynoir of it all, actually.
Crazy.
I mean, I think that is like one of the things that I was watching, specifically this Black YouTuber / journalist. He would probably roll his eyes. This Black journalist who has a YouTube channel named Roland Martin. And I was watching one of the conversations that he was having with a group of Black people. And this woman in the mix, you could tell she was like wanting to say something the whole time. And she finally like raised her hand and said, it's the woman of it all. It's the hatred of women of it all. And like immediately Black men in the room tried to like silence her and were interrupting her and she couldn't get her thought out. And I was like, y'all, misogynoir is so real. No. You don't even realize you're doing it. Y'all are not even letting this lady speak. She's literally trying to get her point across. You all have been getting her point across. She's literally trying to get her point across. But because she's saying something that somehow triggers you and your fragile masculinity, you are all trying to step on her.
Truly.
To not make it, that's not really a part of it. It's absolutely a part of it.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a part of it. Don't be a Black woman don't be a, like, could be said overqualified Black woman for this position. You don't have to agree with all of her politics. You don't have to agree with what she's saying, but girl was prepared.
Especially
like she was very qualified.
Comparatively.
And comparatively to like everybody.
Yeah.
She was one of the only candidates, I think they said somewhere, I think she might have been the only candidate who has ever served in all 3 houses of the government. Like, she, like there literally was like no one more qualified than her to step into this.
No.
She was also not set up for success. She had 100 days.
Yeah.
So like what she accomplished in 100 days is insane.
100%. Truly.
Had she had a full year to do this, maybe we would have seen more. And so some of my frustrations have to do with a Black woman being not set up for success.
Yeah.
Making a hell of a lemonade out of what she was given. And then having everyone come back with criticisms about what she should have done.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have never experienced walking this world as a Black woman, that is what it looks like. You are walking literally with the world's concerns on your shoulders, holding it, not being allowed space for gentleness or calm or feeling or safety, not having a rock to lean into, but yet everyone expecting that you're going to know the answer, everyone expecting that you will take care of them, you will be okay. These are some of the reasons I'm not interested in playing people's maids, people's nurse, because there is this expectation that Black women are well, you can do it. You're love and light. Even my track in the Strange Loop, it's really tricky because it's one of those things where sympathetic ear, her purpose was there in a lot of ways to help Usher to open up and love himself more and find a deeper sense of self. And I love that for that beat of the show. But like what I wouldn't be interested in doing right behind it is playing somebody else who's there to go, love yourself. You're beautiful. Open your heart up and have light come into it. And it's like this love and light trope that like, I do believe like there is certainly, I'm not stupid. There is an aspect of me that also does naturally want to bring those things out of people, but I'm not interested in being thrown into that like trap of continuing to play women who are just pouring into everybody else. I'm like, no. I don't want to play the maid.
No.
I want to play the woman that's having a problem in her marriage and her life is falling apart and she needs to talk to the maid to help her. I want you to also be able to see that Black women need help and are broken and are complicated and love and are loved and are soft and are flawed. These are the reasons I want to play that really problematic, disgusting character because she's all flaws.
Yeah.
Like, we need that because
Truly.
I think that there is a sort of dehumanization of Black women that happens. And we are only used sort of as we're needed by the characters around us.
Yeah.
In life, on the stage, on the TV, it's a constant reflection, and nobody really listens.
Yeah.
It's talked about. And it feels crazy even on social media when you're like, hashtag love Black women, hashtag protect Black women, hashtag. And it's like, this feels so ridiculous. Like, why are we like, just do it.
Yeah.
Why are we having to hashtag? Just do it. just incorporate it into your life.
The power and light in the hashtag.
It's like, well, because it's almost like if I put that hashtag, I've done it.
Yes.
And notice in your life, you're not.
Mm.
But in your life, you're not doing that. And like, ask your good Black girlfriend, like, hey, do you need anything? This is a hard time. What I love, I do love, there are a couple guys in my life who, if they weren't gay, but like, it's like they always check in on the right times.
Heard.
They always know when to be like, hey girl, are you okay?
Yeah.
I just want to check in on you. I'm thinking about you. And like, it allows a sort of softness that like, I often don't get.
Yeah.
It's like that strong friend trope. It's that like, and I think that there's an element of respect that comes into that strong friend trope, that like, there is an element of you feel like you've got it together. And you have a POV.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm invested in like, I trust you and I respect you. And I want to know what you think about this thing. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But then also have to understand that person you're doing that to is also often just as broken as you are. And like really does need that same thing back.
Yeah.
Needs that. And so the people in my life who allow me to like have them be a rock, who allow me to just breathe and be completely water around them, because my actual natural nature is I am very much a feeler and very much water. I am a Cancer feeler all around.
Heard.
And so it's like when I get a chance to really just be that soft, crying, a little bit too much an emotional self, there's a safety that comes from that I think is really like, it's valuable.
Yeah.
And so the people in my life who I can have that kind of relationship with are very special. They are very, I so greatly appreciate and value and love them, because it's not, everyone doesn't get that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, and so because I know what that feels like in real life, there's always that craving of wanting to like get to do that in art.
Totally.
And to not have to be the one to write the thing to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to be able to act.
Totally.
I can write. I procrastinate much better than I write.
100%. It's going to be a while before we get that out.
It's like, I don't know how that's going to happen. I have lots of drafts in my Google.
It's going to be a couple typos, but
it's just, I think that we all hold more space than what is acknowledged.
Yeah. Within that vein, is there any like particular kinds of stories that you think are going to be very important to be telling in the next couple of years? You know, I mean, important to happen generally speaking, but now in this arena that we're being thrust into, because quite frankly, we're going to be getting a lot of political theater, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of brilliant stuff, and I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of cringy stuff.
So I will say, I mean, off of that, the thing about 2016 is we did get a lot of art afterwards.
Yeah.
As a result, there were lots of people who were willing to produce and fund and nurture projects that told stories that seemed right at the time to tell.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that hopes that happens again.
I hope so too. I think we're also, I don't know if it's also just like the very commercial feeling of this city at the moment as well, where I'm like, I need a breath of fresh air, but like also the prospect of what can come out of this is at least
because it's
little nice.
No, I'm sorry. No, because it's been said, you know, our friend Patty LuPone has said, you know, Broadway feels like, what was it? The Circus, Las Vegas, and I forget what the other one that she said was, but like, Realty, I rolled my eyes a bit because I'm like, you were also on Broadway while you're saying that. Clearly the show you're in is not that, but, but that is true.
Yeah.
And like, but like what we're not doing is asking why. Again, everything holds more. We're quick to call out and complain about something that we see and then don't ask the questions about why.
Yeah.
Girl, we're still just out of a pandemic.
Ain't that the truth?
This reminds me of like early, like during the Depression. Like when there was theater, people wanted to escape.
Yeah.
So when you're saying people don't want to learn or people don't want to be taught things or people don't want to, it's like there are a lot of people who don't.
That's true.
Like the reality is there's a lot of people who can't right now because they're still recovering from half their family being lost or from watching friends go or from dealing with COVID in life themselves. Like, to me, there is a sense of privilege in being able to stand outside and say, this is the Broadway that I want to see, and I think that this Broadway now is crap.
Understood, yeah.
There is a sense of privilege that you are comfortable enough in your life and where you are that you can say that, because there's lots of people who don't feel that secure and who are broken and who, if they see a show, it's like, I don't really want to see something that's going to have me feeling bad. I just want to see Grease.
I just want to turn off my brain for a second.
Turn off and just enjoy some people singing and dancing in front of me. And if they're singing Britney Spears songs, great. Because you know what? It doesn't even have, this does not need to be Sondheim. This doesn't need to be Chekhov. This does not need to be this highbrow theater. I just want to enjoy myself because I don't get to do that every day.
Truly.
And so we've saved money to come to New York City to just have a good time and to escape the horror that lies in our house right now.
That's so fair. Yeah.
It's like we have to make space for other people to exist around us. Now, can you say things like, I would love to see more stories that challenge us. I'd love to see more non-commercial projects get runs. Absolutely.
Yep.
And also knowing in the business of making those things, they probably aren't going to run very long.
Yep.
So make sure that we know this is a limited time. Really get people in those seats if you can before that. Because also advanced ticket sales are not working the way they used to. Because people don't have money.
Yeah.
People are broke.
That's true.
And the money they do have, for the people that do have money, they ain't trying to come to Broadway right now because it's like, look, we are a luxury.
Yeah, truly.
And maybe those people, you know, because you see things like Kimberly Kimbo was out there.
Yeah.
Kimberly Kimbo is not trash.
No, absolutely
Kimberly
not.
Kimbo was that was my favorite show of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, Realty, it was my favorite show even when my show was like, I really enjoyed Kimberly Kimbo. But like that was a show that like is an example of the show strangely was the same thing. These are shows that are specific. They're about smaller demographic of people.
Yeah.
The audiences are probably going to be smaller. And so going in knowing that like this run might not be as long as other shows. And if we do get a long run out of it, amazing. Yeah. But like valuing that there was a healthy, Kimberly Kimbo had it was not, you know, this huge hit show in that way.
Yeah.
But I think they got a very healthy run.
I agree.
A Strange Loop, you know, people were upset when it closed and made lots of comments, but I was like, I think we got a longer run than I expected that we would have gotten.
That's true.
I think it was a healthy run.
Yeah.
Every show is not meant to be there for 5 and 10 years. It's like, and like, honestly, some of those shows in 10 years will feel outdated if it's that same production.
That's true. Also, in terms of like the accessibility of it all, like once the show leaves Broadway, then the rights can be distributed. It can go on tour. It can reach people in different places. It can reach regional houses and stuff. And all of
that's what we need to, I do think that the reach is what we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I am not against this idea of having Broadway be available for stream and having
my God,
like, I do think that there's something to the family that has, you know, 3 children and dad's unemployed.
Yeah.
And the one thing that they could do at the end of that week is spend that $50 on a stream of this show that that their kids want to see. And those kids get to see theater.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to spend the flight, the hotel, the like food. It's very expensive to come see Broadway.
Totally.
And like being more proactive, we can be more proactive as a community to like celebrate regional theater.
Oh my God.
And like all of the things that are possible, because look, Broadway is wonderful. And like it is all those, you know, exciting lights and magic, but it's also a business.
Yes.
And actually it's a business first. And the more, I feel like being on Broadway certainly taught me like, oh, this is business.
Yeah.
And like even the Tonys was like, this is a work event.
Totally.
I have only seen this and thought fantasy and oh my God, it's magic. It's Disney World. It's But then in the actual spot, when you're sitting in that seat with a gown on that is very expensive and you have it bundled up on top of you while you're drinking, for me, it was like while you're hungry and hot and drinking a Snapple because you've been warned to make sure you have food here because you're going to be sitting there for hours.
Yeah.
So eating like beef jerky and drinking a Snapple in your like beautiful gown with diamonds, it's like you start to realize this is a work event.
Yeah.
It is. And,
iconic for that.
and
Yeah.
like, I mean, there was one where I was like, I kind of kept wanting like the camera to just by chance stroll by because I had a really big Snapple and was literally to the head with that Snapple because I was like, I need sugar in my body right now because I'm falling apart and I haven't eaten today because I wanted to make sure that like, I mean, this is all the like vain sort of, self of your, like, I'm like, I'm going to be on a TV screen.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like I'm bloated and I just had a real good meal. I want to look slightly hungry, which is really problematic. I mean, talk about
Listen.
we need to talk about that in our society. The pressure to be thin is real, like real, until you're too thin, quote unquote. And then there's the pressure to look healthy, quote unquote, which is what is that? But I did. But I was like, I can't really eat anything. So I had like that day, I had like some peanuts and like a little jerky and like I'd had water. And so when I was sitting, by the time we were sitting in that seat, I was like slightly shaking. I was like, I need to eat something so badly.
You're like, actually, I'm ready for this to end so we can get going. Yeah.
I need a full meal. But I was like, oh, the dress fits perfect. Everything fits just right. Yeah, it's a work event. It's business, and it's a business first. I think that's the thing that, I was on faculty at PACE last year, and I'm going to be again this spring. And like, I love getting a chance to work with students.
Yeah.
I mean, education is like super important to me. Partially why I was excited to do the BA to Broadway situation.
Wow.
Because I do think that education is like very important.
Thank you. Yeah.
I love being in the position to share with students let's work on, I'm teaching musical theater scene studies. So like love to get the juniors in and like work with them on scenes. Lovely. And in the process of doing that, also planting seeds about what the business actually is like when you get out of here and like things you might face and like how do you start to build yourself up and build your own awareness up so that you have a tool belt to handle these things that you might be confronted with. What happens when you meet a director who is really inappropriate and is racist and does not realize that they are because they're actually a kind person.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that? Like I think that there are, I mean, that's not, of course, my focus of what I'm presenting. But I think that like education is just very important. Yeah. Because we're not taught that it's a business. Yeah. And I think that's something that is a problem, actually. We really, if you are, spending the time and money to be in a college program, in particular, junior and senior year, you need to know that this is a business. Yeah. And like, this is what contracts look like. This is what, because Broadway and theater have never promised to center you.
Yeah, totally.
Their mission is not to take care of you. What's taking care of you is on that contract. Totally. It's in the ink. Yeah. And if the ink is not clear and is not setting you up for success, you're not getting any promises from them. No. If you get producers or a team that are really looking out for your well-being and really taking care of you, like some people do, when I was up at Goodspeed this past year, they were so lovely to me. If you meet people who do that, I did a project in London with Chris Harper of He Pays My Salary fame. Yeah. And Chris was a wonderful producer to work with. So some of these people really set the bar on what is possible for producers. Yeah. What is possible in the ways that producers can make you feel valued and taken care of. And like these people, like they're rare. Yeah. It is not the norm. It's not the average experience. They don't have to because they also didn't promise that they would. Also that, yeah. Their mission is the show. It ain't you. And when you're on Broadway, I think that there's more reminder that you are a part of the chess game that's being played. You are one of the pieces. Now, if you're the queen or you're the king, you will be valued a bit more. But most of you are pawns. Yep. And so, you are, for all intents and purposes, you are easily replaced. Yeah. So what's on that ink needs to take care of you. 100%. And students don't. I didn't know that.
Oh, I wasn't taught that. Not at all. No.
And part of the reason I wasn't taught that is because none of my teachers had ever experienced that.
And that's a very hot topic in itself.
Yeah,
but...
it's like if the faculty at your school does not know what it means to be on Broadway, it's going to be difficult for them to fully teach you
or
what
just,
that is.
Quite frankly, just working in
period.
general.
I would say, or working.
Yeah.
And like knowing, look, I went to school in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my teachers were actively working in Philadelphia. Well, the ones who were working were actively working in Philadelphia. So they knew Philly.
Great.
One of the questions I had senior year was, well, what about New York?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I know we're prepped to work at the Walnut or, at the Arden. These are great spaces. Love it. But like, what about New York?
Mm-hmm.
And what about like the other regions?
Anywhere else, really.
Anywhere else. And the reality is they don't really know.
No.
They'll throw something at you because teachers rarely will be like, I don't know. Let me come back to you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I actively try to be a professor who says, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Let me check on that. When I have students who are talking about being swings in their shows and they're not getting the full lesson of what it means to be a swing, yet they're cast as swings in the show in an educational space.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a swing.
Yeah.
So I know that's not necessarily how my mind works, but I know plenty of swings.
Totally.
So you know what? Let me get back on that and maybe let me bring a swing into class one day to chat with everybody and so you can ask some questions because maybe that will be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think that like the resources that are available amongst your faculty are really key.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the perk of going to school in New York, of course.
Yes.
Because there often are teachers who are working.
Mm-hmm.
On PACE's faculty, there's certainly a number of teachers who are working. But knowing the difference in who is working, who has been old school working forever and have held on to, the ways that things went in 1985 and the ones who are working in 2024 and 2025 who are going, that's not okay now.
Yeah.
And these students who I adore, this is why I love this younger generation. They're also real quick to let you know the things that are sticking out to them.
Yes.
The things that like, I don't feel necessarily that comfortable playing a character who has this particular kind of disability because I feel like that's space for someone who has that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, look, I am certainly in that generation that's like in the in-between of these worlds.
Understood.
So I'm constantly sort of like measuring out how do I want to go about this conversation? Because I think that there is a little give on both sides in some ways. Because there's that school that's like, we're actors, you do it. And I'm like, well, well, it's like, well, if you're getting a contract to do, if you're getting a contract to play someone who is disabled and you are not, I mean, let's talk about it.
100%.
Let's be aware. I mean, if nothing else, have reason for why you're doing it. I'm not someone that's like, you don't do. I think that you need to be able to sleep at night with the decisions that you've made.
Understood.
So know why you're doing it or know why you're not doing it or know when you're like, this feels a little tricky. I don't know. Look, there's a play that, I've been asked to come in to do a reading of where there's a character, she's a trans woman, but she's not my same ethnic make.
Okay.
And so I do have some questions about saying yes.
Yes.
I did say yes because the play is fantastic.
Heard.
And I also know that the play is in development.
Okay.
And so the reason I said yes today is because end of day, they're still working on this character. I don't know where she will end up in the long run. But I do know that today, I'd rather be in that room to help work on who she is and to help the development of who she is in terms of gender, because she's specifically a trans woman.
Yeah.
And so I think the play is fantastic and what she does in the play is fantastic. And while I am not, it's a piece where I would walk in the room and say, I'm probably not going to be the one who does this.
Yeah.
You will find someone who is from the right cultural background to actually do this. But I'm more than happy to be in the room while you're developing it until you find her.
Awesome.
Until you find who she is.
Yeah.
Because I think that she's then going to bring even more to that conversation that like I won't be able to bring. I understand her on like religion and being trans and being of a certain age. Like I understand who she is across the board.
Yeah.
But I do think that like the nuance of her cultural background is something that you will want to have someone in the room to actually be there to help you with.
Totally.
But today, I'm happy to be here and like really thrilled to have stake on the plate to work with.
Mm-hmm.
This is really good writing.
Yeah.
And this team is fantastic. And I want to work with this team.
Yeah,
so there are reasons for wanting to be in the room,
Mm-hmm.
but also being clear about kind of why you're there and what is not necessarily right about you being there.
Yeah.
So that it's not just this blind, like, I belong here because I'm an actor.
Oh,
it's
for
like,
sure.
No. I belong here because I am an actor and I'm capable of telling this story, but I'm also letting you know that I'm not the right choice.
Yes. 100%.
But that's also it's not something that lots of people do.
For sure. It's a very...
It's personal.
And especially like in the school setting too, like you exist in the microcosm of the student body there. You know, like they are choosing you for specific things because that's where you fit their mold and not necessarily the mold of the real world and everything around you.
Yeah,
So,
and that's a big conversation in class.
Oh, yeah.
Because also it's an educational space.
100%.
So like knowing right off the bat that you may be being asked to work on this because there's something in terms of your skills that are being honed. There's something that in an educational space that the faculty wants you to work on.
Yes.
And you might not be right for this today, but this is school.
Totally.
This is not, this ain't the contract.
It's like, oh, you're tall? You can play an adult. Great.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Amazing.
The sad part about it, the sad thing is being aware of the things that we put people into. So it's like you're tall, or like with women, you're not a size 2, so you're going to play the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, let's look at that. Let's look at that because, she actually is 19 years old.
Yeah.
And so she is currently the daughter.
Yes.
Why is she not allowed to play that?
And when she leaves these doors, she will be the daughter.
And she'll still be the daughter.
Why don't we get her ready to do?
But this is the thing. In the business, she might still be the mother if she.
That's too
real. It's like because these tropes get tossed around. If you are a woman who is not skinny, if you're a woman who's a little fuller figure, you might be just fuller all around. Oh, wonderful! You're matronly suddenly, and it's like, well, but I'm the daughter. Yeah. So why would I be? I'm not matronly in my life.
No.
Why am I not allowed to be the daughter here? Like, these are the things that we need to dissect more.
Truly.
Ask more questions.
And we got a whole ton of them. God, wow. It's a wild world that we already live in. It's going to be a wilder world that we start to live in. And we just got to take it one day at a time, really.
Yeah. I keep listening to people who are bringing up the kind of art that is possible during times of stress. And I'm trying to use some of that as the light to walk towards. Yeah. Because it's very easy right now to hang out in the dark.
That is exactly right.
It's very easy and very tempting to climb into a corner and just go, you know what? For the next 4 years, I'm going to sit here in this corner. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how bills will get paid that way, but...
Squatters' rights. I hear that's a thing. I don't know.
But I want to know, what's possible. I want to know what can be made during this time.
And especially, this is a time where we need our community more than ever. So,
bleed all over the page.
Yes. If we can just keep our people near us and do something together, great.
Yeah, find our people. Because I think there's bound to be new people that you find through that thing, too.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, the joy.
That feels like a very nice little ribbon.
Did I say anything over this talk?
I think we said quite a bit.
They're like, nothing came out of this talk.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I going to title this? An episode with L. Morgan Lee.
L. Morgan Lee rants.
Do you feel like you have any closing little words of wisdom that you want to share? Or any words of wisdom for all the little L. Morgans out there?
Oh, gosh. I think you're human.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be human. And everything that means, all the feelings, you are allowed to have all of the things that make you human.
Totally. And that's okay. And you're valid and you're real. And
that's what authenticity, quotations and marks around it. That's what authenticity looks like. You are human, so be human.
And so is everyone else.
And so is everyone else, right?
Crazy. Crazy. Well, folks, there you go. Get out there, be yourself. Everyone else is being themselves. Get to know them, It's going to be a special time to do that. But you know what? We are rooting for you. We are your biggest supporters. And you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon. Folks, that is patreon.com/beatabroadway. Your general disclaimer, there is no vital information being gatekept there. That is just for fun, silly bonus content. If you want to hear a little bit more into our weird, wacky lives that we live. So come check us out over there. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. Morgan, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
Oh, on Instagram, elmorganlee, on website, elmorganlee.com.
Lovely. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, so my pleasure.
This was absolutely lovely and just very needed.
It was very easy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
And until next time, folks, bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.